All right, Golden, you want to start this one off?
Yeah. So just why did you decide to play MCLA out of high school?
Yeah, absolutely. Lacrosse in Minnesota is, well, it's grown tremendously over the last, you know, 15 years, and really um, wanting to get recruited and all that would take, um, you know, extensive club ball play in the summer. Growing up, I was a big soccer guy, until about seventh grade when I picked up a lacrosse stick and fell in love with the sport. And so I really spent my summers either playing soccer or on the lake on White Bear Lake. And so I didn't do a ton of sort of, I guess, recruiting tournaments in the summer. And thinking about schools wanting to attend, St. Thomas was really the right school size for me. I went to a smaller high school, so going to a smaller private school was a better setup for my success academically. And they're known for their business school, and that's the direction I wanted to head. And so it really had more to do with academics and probably exposure than anything else. And very thankful I wound up there. And the other one is my high school coach was the offensive coordinator at St. Thomas, Jim Riley, and was very, very spoiled to have him as my high school coach. As someone from Chaminade High School out east, his journey brought him to Minnesota, and he was sort of one of the first, I guess, big lacrosse minds in the state that we had. And fortunately, I had him at my disposal in high school, and he sort of tapped me on the shoulder my junior year and said this might be a good fit for me. And I'm very thankful for it.
Yeah, a lot of good reasons. I can definitely relate to some of those. And Purdue's a big school, but school size, I wanted a big school and find the school that fits and then play lacrosse once you get there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So how did you first join the coaching staff at St. Thomas, and what was that like, transitioning from a player to a coach?
So I was hired on by previous head coach Brian Gross, who was one of my coaches when I was a player. He was an assistant, and he ran the box as he continued to do as a head coach, and did a lot with their face-off and transition play. And I was fortunate enough where I was able to coach the varsity lacrosse team at Matamidi High School, where I went to high school, starting when I was a senior in college. So I started out getting high level experience right away. I was the offensive coordinator there up through 2015, and sort of took what I learned from St. Thomas and implemented some of my own things. Wound up being the assistant coach of the year for the Minnesota State High School League in 2014, and I think that kind of probably boosted me up the radar a little bit for Brian when he took over and needed to fill up his staff. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
How did you then become the head coach?
Yeah. So, 5 years under Brian, he taught me a lot. I think part of it was, me being the most tenured coach on the staff. We do have a preference at St. Thomas to what we call keep it in the family, and the people that understand our goals and how we want to approach each season and our culture are sort of who we prioritize in hiring. And so it seemed to be a natural transition. The last couple of years Brian was coaching, I was taking on more responsibilities, helping with recruiting, just counseling players, some administrative things that the head coaches do, which set me up for success when Brian was ready to move on, expanding his family and taking on new challenges. And so it was a pretty smooth transition, thankfully.
Mhm. So you mentioned you want to keep it in the family and keep it with people who know the culture already. Me and Andrew go to Purdue, so from the D1 side of the conference, we've been watching the D2 side, and you guys win a lot of games. So I guess, is that part of your culture, and what else do you guys kind of want to keep going over there?
So you were just wondering like what our culture's like? Is that what you're asking? Or
Yeah, and
do we
like,
just prioritize winning?
yeah, like what are your goals as a team?
You know, I think our smaller goals lead up to our overall success. We
Mhm.
really we start the seasons with very specific goal setting with each individual. You know, and it gets very nitty gritty. It's not I want to be an All-American, you know, because there's a lot of things that build up to become an All-American as an individual. You know, it could be an LSM that's talking about their goals, and it's, you know, I want to make sure I get 3 ground balls on the wing play every game. Something very specific that we can, and it's measurable, and it's something we can continue to talk about. And we build up with, you know, individual player goals, personal goals, and academic goals. And all that combined with peer accountability. We really try to foster leadership, and that's not like a title. It's not you're a captain, so you're a leader. Freshmen can be leaders, sophomores can be leaders, and it's getting to know each other on a very personal level and holding each other accountable to those goals. And it comes best when we've given the environment for our players to lead that charge. And so we're here to help goal set as coaches, but we like them to take on that responsibility. And with that leads up to our main goals, which is, you know, national championship and conference championships. So,
Yeah.
Would you
And
say
go
the
ahead.
culture changed at all from when you were a player to now, or has it pretty much just stayed the same goals, same values every year?
You know, I would start by crediting the 2007 and 2008 graduating classes, the players that graduated just prior to me. I think they set an example for the team that we can still have fun and still enjoy each other while setting goals and taking lacrosse seriously and taking it to the next level. The 2007 and 2008 class, although we fell short of our ultimate team goal of winning it all, they really set the tone for how we show up every fall, how we implement our game plans, our strategies, and how we approach practice leading up to how we warm up even. And so the couple years prior to me graduating, those classes really deserve all the credit in the world for the success that we have the last decade. So.
Another thing you mentioned earlier, you were talking about recruiting. So at a club level, it's different all across the nation, but what does the recruiting circuit kind of look like for you guys? Like, I assume it's a lot of Minnesota kids, but can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, you got it. It is, if we're going to get a kid from out of state, it's mostly they have initiated the conversation, and you know we'll follow up with them and sort of do our due diligence and try to make their transition to the state as smooth as possible. However, it's heavy in state. We do a couple things, of course, social media, and you know recruiting forms and trying to get people to fill things out and approach us. The school does a good job of passing on essentially an Excel spreadsheet to me on a daily basis of kids who apply to the school and have stated they participate in lacrosse. And that allows me to reach out to every single kid who's interested in the school and just get a touch point. And then the biggest one, we're very lucky, and this kind of touches on another question, I think, as far as just how we're rooted in Minnesota and give back to the sport. We have every single one of my assistants coaches high school lacrosse as either a head coach or a varsity assistant. And then they also do like Team Minnesota, like travel coaching and youth coaching. So including our players, and they coach and they ref. And so lots of opportunity there for them to be out at games, seeing tons of high school players play, tap them on the shoulder. They're coaching, you know, between JV and varsity, they're coaching about 50 kids, and they're giving their experience that they had at St. Thomas because they're all alumni as well. And so that's a big part of our pipeline is current coaches throughout the state, sort of passing on information and us getting in contact with players. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
Do you usually have to make cuts every year, like at the beginning of the year? Or are there like usually just enough kids that you really don't have to?
Yeah, it does depend on the year. So traditionally, no, we do not. So we try to cap at 45 guys. And that specific reason is just for traveling. So we bus pretty much everywhere, and can only fit so many people on a bus. However, we do a 2-day tryout at the beginning of the first week of school, and they're pretty intense. It's the first practice since, summers, we end the national tournament, summer starts, it's been a couple months. So it's the first time the guys are really getting after it. So they're super intense tryouts, and guys kind of tend to naturally cut themselves from day 1 to day 2 of tryout. And we don't really have to have those difficult conversations with people, which is great. However, if we don't have that many guys come out for the team, we take it upon ourselves to develop newer players and teach them the game and try to continue to grow it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's something at Purdue we might have to think about doing in the fall, but kind of like what you said, like that first set of getting on the line and sprinting kind of does it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah,
we'll see how that goes. Gonna kind of pivot here. So St.
Sure.
Thomas, the school is making the transition to a Division I school. How has that impacted, if at all, your program?
Yeah, nothing so far. No impact. We're still running the same way. I anticipate us potentially benefiting in the next few years with maybe some more funding from the school, which would help maybe potentially lower dues, maybe allow us to add on a trip, something like that. But nothing major in the works as far as maybe making a jump from D1 to D2 or D2 to D1, just based on, we're in Minnesota and we are surrounded by the best Division II schools in the NCLA. You guys know you pay to play. We got teams in the state that are really good, just a car ride away. And so, financially, it doesn't make sense for us to move anywhere yet. That being said, we continue to try to foster a good relationship with the school to potentially move up in the future, whether that be, outside of the NCLA or what have you. So.
Mm-hmm. What was I gonna say? And facility-wise, do you guys get to use like the regular weight room and fields and stuff that the other teams use, or how does that work?
I wish I could say yes, and we're at the top of the totem pole, but unfortunately, we are not. So we have built a decent relationship with the field scheduler, where he'll get us on campus once a week on the weekends. Typically, we'll practice on Sunday mornings. He'll try to get us 1 to maybe 2 home games in a year. But the other, so we rent field time for practice often up the road. And then we don't have a dome on campus, so it snows obviously here in Minnesota in the winter. And so we rent dome time at Concordia University right up the road. And so just part of the gig of being a club sport, as you guys know. So, we rent facilities, but, on the athletic trainer side of things, or our strength coach, we do have an opportunity in one of the few club sports, might be the only one on campus, that gets to participate with them in what St. Thomas calls our convo hour. So on every Tuesday and Thursday, there's about an hour and a half in the middle of the day where nobody has classes. Often kids use that for whatever, lunch or maybe a group project time. We have that dedicated time with the NCAA athletes where we can go to their strength training. And so it's great to be invited to that. We do, you know, make that optional for our guys, but it's pretty noticeable who's going, who's not. And really a team year to year, you're going to kind of tell who's buying in and who isn't. And so we're fortunate for that opportunity a couple times a week as well.
Mm-hmm. And you kind of touched on it a little bit too, but just how much are dues to be a part of your team, and what types of fundraising do you guys do?
Yeah, so dues are, it does depend on the number of players. If we have a larger roster, of course, it's going to be lower, but anywhere between about $2,500 to $3,000 to play. So it's not a small chunk of change to play lacrosse. And that's really all inclusive. That's everything. That's all the traveling, you know, off campus practicing, food when you're on the road. We try to run like a virtual varsity program. So, you know, we go on the road, play a away game, we get off the bus back to the hotel, we got food waiting for the kids, that kind of thing. So they really don't, you know, kind of take the thinking out of it for them, you know. So but yeah, so a few grand to play. New players have to pay a little more. They're more closer to the 3,000, and returning players are more close to the 2,500 for those one-time purchases. You know, we try to keep white helmets every year, so guys aren't buying, you know, 2-3 helmets in a given 4-year cycle. And so, yeah, you guys know the pain. I had to buy 3 helmets when I was a player, all different colors and stuff. So, you know, you get those one-time purchases out of the way. You know, helmets, gloves, those kind of things, team bags. But yeah, and then we do fundraise. We do a crowdfunder, like online fundraising, which has been pretty successful. I think due to you know, we have a tight-knit alumni community, and so and a good parent support, of course. And so we try to raise around 10 grand through the online crowdfunder. And then actually this year, we're going to be bringing back our golf event. So we're going to try to do like an alumni golf weekend type of thing, try to raise, you know, another few grand and, you know, have fun in the meantime. So. Yeah,
definitely. That's a good idea. I used to be the fundraising officer for my team, not anymore.
Okay.
Pass that golf outing idea down, because that actually sounds like a really good time.
Yep.
What was I thinking?
So, how often do you guys practice?
So we practice twice during the week, and that's off campus, a couple miles up the road at McMurray Field until the snow comes, and we'll do Concordia. But our fall ball is just September and October. We go twice a week during the week, and then once on the weekend on campus. And then we give everybody November and December off to focus on school, make sure they get great grades. If they need to pick up a work study, if they have other interests, they're able to sort of explore those in those couple months and enjoy their family over the holidays. And then we get back together in January, and it's what we consider our regular season. And we go through the national tournament early May. And that's once again twice a week, late at night. So we practice 10:15 p.m. to 12:15 a.m. At Concordia St. Paul in the domes for the cheapest dome time. So non-prime hours get you about $100 an hour off, and we're all in on that, saving a buck. So that also allows for no one to really have an excuse to miss practice. Nobody's in a group project at 10 o'clock at night. Most of us coaches are parents, kids are in bed. Although it's not ideal, it's a way to have everybody be fully bought in and have really eliminate the excuses for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, and we'll practice on the weekends during the season if we don't have games. But once the games start rolling, it's almost all weekend games.
Mm-hmm. And speaking with games, so you guys play all the other Minnesota schools. Do you have any one big rival, or is it kind of always competitive with all of them?
Yeah, well, they're all good, so they're always competitive. However, I'm sure many schools may consider us, many schools in the MCLA D2 may consider us their rival. We have one, and it's St. John's.
Yeah.
That game is just a little different than the others. No matter, there's been many years where St. John's has been the best team in the country. There's been many years where we've been the best team in the country. However, when that game happens, it's always going down to the wire, sometimes overtime even. We just know each other so well. It's physical. These kids are at rival colleges, and often they either went to high school together or they went to rival high schools. And so, like, it's just a deeply rooted game, which makes it a ton of fun. But they are the only rival we have. The rest are just very competitive teams.
Mm-hmm. And especially at the St. John's game too, I'm guessing. But you guys got a lot of fans, either students or parents, coming to your games in the spring.
Yeah, we get a good, we had one home game this year, and I felt like, with COVID and all that, we had a really good showing. There might have been, 2, 3, maybe even 400 people there. But that's going to be kind of the max, really. I mean, we get, all their friends come out. You get the parents, of course, and the alumni, and that's kind of the 3 boxes that get checked for every game. The games that actually you kind of feel the home crowd are in the smaller domes that are locally, because it catches all the noise. It gets kind of loud in there, even with just a couple hundred people. So.
Yeah. All right. So, all right. How do you, so one of the things you mentioned earlier was that you and your coaching staff also help out coaching high schools and other leagues. So do you do anything as a team also to help grow the sport? And what other teams are you personally working with too?
Yeah, so we have kicked around the idea of doing like youth camps and things in the past. We've never actually acted on it. There's a homegrown lacrosse company that does a ton of summer stuff on campus, which we sort of on the back end benefit from because it's on our campus. And so tons of kids come to week-long and even overnight camps at St. Thomas, and they do it every year growing up, and all of a sudden they love the campus. And so we haven't really done a team activity or worked with other teams in the past, but that's an interesting question that you bring up in an area of opportunity for us that we really haven't taken advantage of as far as doing sort of a team-wide thing. We're just very individually ingrained in the state of lacrosse in the state of Minnesota, coaching other teams and volunteering and doing camps. And it's also a way for these kids to make a few extra bucks in the summer. So.
Yeah, definitely. And just one more thing from me. I don't know if Golden has anything else, but if you were talking to a high school kid that was choosing between your school and then maybe another NCAA school, what would you say to them kind of to sell your team to them?
Well, I would, I'd ask them some questions. Like, I'd be wondering if they're engaged in the process with that school about, what is the academics like at that school, and does it truly match their goals, and is what that school specializes in academically, does that truly match your end goal? And then your personal goals too, of course. And kids that are in the States, what's your comfort level leaving the States and things like that? Are you going to a school that has a legit opportunity to win a championship? And if so, that's phenomenal. Keep us in your back pocket. We get a lot of transfers back of people who go out and they really want the NCAA label. And we've built good relationships with them in the recruiting process that they wind up transferring back to us, because it's not checking those boxes from those questions I ask. And then, I guess lastly, how much do you want to be playing lacrosse in your college experience? There's a lot of things, as you guys know, as college kids, that you can do, and lots of different things you can be exposed to. And so do you want to be playing lacrosse 6 days a week? Is that too much? Is that not enough even? Or is a couple days a week more fit your balance with what you want to do with your college life? And so getting them to sort of think about those questions, maybe they haven't thought of, sort of is the approach we like to take. It's all about academics first and making sure that it's going to align with them, because if it doesn't, they're just going to transfer away anyways. They got to like the campus, and they got to like the type of classes they're going to be taking. And so from there, we can guarantee them that the 6 hours a week that they're going to be with us, they're going to be getting the NCAA experience during those 6 hours. It's just all the other stuff that the NCAA, you're going to be practicing every day pretty much, and team, weightlifting and everything's kind of scheduled out for you. So a little bit less freedom.
All right. You sold me.
Yeah, there we go, man.
All right. Andrew, you got anything?
Do you guys have any cool traditions that you do every year?
Things I'd like to talk about on camera. Let's see here. No, I'm just kidding. One tradition that I guess you call it a tradition, it's something that we do every warm up for games. It actually started from a 2008 grad who, I don't know if he started it back when he was a freshman in 05 or what, but for stretching, he would just kind of fully lay out on the grass and just kind of lay there and look up at the sky while everybody was seriously getting ready for the game. And so what we do now is what we call a beautiful day stretch. So after we do our sort of dynamic stretching, your motion stretching, we get in a circle, guys take a minute or two to sort of finish their stretch. And then, as a team, everybody does their left hand in the air and their right hand in the air, and then they lean back and they take about 10 to 15 seconds and they visualize the goals individually that they've set for themselves. They visualize our team goals, and we just basically give thanks for it being a beautiful day and us being able to play lacrosse. And that's how we end our stretching of our warm up to get into our stick skills portion. And it's something we've done now since at least 2007. So it's been running for a while. And I don't know, it's going to keep rolling, that's for sure.
Yeah, I like the sound of that. I call that the sun stretch, kind of just lay back and absorb.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'll have to see if we can make that a part of our daily stretching routine too.
Y'all should steal it. Highly recommend.
All right. Well, thank you for taking the time to talk with us tonight. We'll probably try and get this up in a few days, and we'll let you know if we have any other questions, and feel free to reach out if you need anything from us too.
Hey, thanks so much. Love what you guys are doing. Thanks for pumping up the MCLA. Good luck with your upcoming year, and say hi to Eli Holmbrink for me if you see him before I do.
Definitely. Have you seen his hair recently?
I haven't, but I can only imagine.
it's something else right now. Well,
good stuff, guys.
All right. Take care.
Take care. Bye now.
Bye.